Hi everybody, I'm so excited to be back today. We are going to be talking about identifying our hair types. I hope you're as excited as I am. We have 4 different hair types, and I know many times people say, okay, so how come you're using this hair product or this other hair product and it works for you but it doesn't work for me? I think it all comes down to your hair type. Different hair types have different needs. Let's get into hair types. There are 4 different hair types. There's type 1, which is the straight hair type. There's type 2, which is the curly one. There's type 3, that's the wavy one, and type 4, which is the kinky one. Now, in type 1 and 2, we have subtypes. We have 1A, 1B, and 1C. And so there's type 2, which is the curly one. We have 2A, 2B, and 2C. When it comes to the wavy one, we have 2 subtypes. So we have wavy A and wavy B. And so does kinky. We have 4A and 4B. Okay? I hope this is not so confusing. I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible. Okay? So, when we talk about hair types, we can't shy away from talking about porosity, density, and texture, because those 3 elements are very important. They are all tied into understanding our hair types, okay? So we'll start with porosity. What is porosity? Porosity is the level at which your hair is able to retain or absorb moisture. Okay, that is why some of us need to apply more moisture than others, if you know what I mean. Okay, there are different levels of porosity. There is a low level of porosity, there is a medium level, and a high level. Low level means that your hair doesn't very quickly absorb or retain moisture. It means the shaft of your hair is built in a different way. There are 3 different different ways. And I will share a picture to show you what the shaft of your hair looks like. If it's open, then it will very quickly retain or absorb moisture. If it's closed, then it will find it hard. Or will retain moisture at a slower level. Okay, yeah, basically that's what that means. So porosity is determined by our DNA. Okay, we all have different DNAs, so it depends on what your DNA, and that's where your porosity comes from. On the other hand, porosity can be altered, and there are 3 main factors that can alter your porosity. One of those is heat, the other one is color, and the third one is chemicals. So when I say chemicals, I'm talking about the different balms that we apply to our hair. Okay, before we joined the natural hair community, we all had different balms at some point, at least, and we do remember that our hair was straight, so that altered the hair type from kinky to straight, as an example. Okay, then coloring is also a chemical that can alter your hair type. In the same way, it can alter your porosity. Pollution is another thing. Okay, excessive heat. We have to be very careful about excessive heat. Excessive heat also alters the hair type. And sometimes it can't go back unless you cut off your hair and regrow it again. Okay, so far I hope we are on the same line. Okay, okay, so how do we test for our hair porosity? What you need to do is take off a few strands from your hair, get a glass of water and drop that hair in the glass. If your hair settles down then that means your hair has high porosity. If it takes time, then it's probably takes time but does actually keeps floating. That means that you have very low porosity, meaning you need more moisture. Your shaft is closed. And if it's like halfway through the glass of water, that means your porosity is at a medium level. Okay? Yeah, I know it's very interesting, but yes, all of this ties into how we can best take care of our hair. And lastly, we'll talk about texture. Texture has to do with the strength of the strand of your hair. It's either thin or thick. Okay, so some of us have thick texture and others have, or rather coarse texture, or and others have very thin texture. Okay, so if you asked me to profile my hair, I would say that I'm a 4C with a thin texture, and the density is medium. Okay, now if I was to buy a product like a conditioner or a shampoo, going by Perosity, I would choose products that are more moisturizing because I'm in the medium range. So moving forward, we'll talk about texture. So texture, there are two types of texture. Texture has to do with the strand of your hair. So the thickness. Some of us have very thin texture and others have very thick texture. Thick to mean coarse, and that's how you end up having coarse hair. Okay, now this varies. It doesn't mean that because you're kinky, you obviously have coarse hair. No. People with type 1 hair, which is straight, do have coarse hair, and also all the other types as well. You might ask yourself, why are we talking about all of this? So profiling your hair or finding out your hair type is very important. If I went to a hairdresser or somebody else wanted to help me with my hair, to help them choose the best products for my hair, I would say I'm a 4C. I have medium porosity, and then I have the density is thin. So then they would know what kind of products to use, and that's the whole point. Moving forward, you will choose products. So you will buy products depending on what your hair type is. If you feel like your hair needs to, the porosity is low, and then you'll focus on the moisturizing your hair, and hence it doesn't break. What I've noticed is that if you don't have enough moisture in your hair, it ends up breaking. You'll keep away from things like excessive heat. There are things that we can't help, like pollution, but maybe you will have more protective styles just to protect your hair from the open pollution. Also, when I say things like heat, it doesn't mean that you don't use blow dryers at all, but you can use heat very, very occasionally. I mean, I would even say once, twice a year. Yeah, find ways of drying your hair without using direct heat. That helps a lot. I have had so many questions from friends and viewers about why does my hair break. Things like this oil doesn't work for me, and my friend used it but it works wonders. And it's because you haven't found out what your hair type is. And once you do, you start to understand the things that work for your hair type, the things that are best suited for your hair type. In fact, that will be my next video. Choosing our conditioners, choosing our shampoos, who is best suited to use hair butters and who is not, those kind of things as we move along. And then after that, we'll get into the protective hairstyles. So yes, my main aim is to make sure that the hair that we are protecting or learning to protect into these styles is healthy hair.